The billion-dollar question that everybody is wondering, where are crypto markets headed from here? Ben Summeroo, CEO of WonderFi, is back with us to discuss crypto markets and his latest acquisition. We'll be talking about that. No spoilers yet. Ben, welcome back.
Great to be here.
Happy New Year. You've probably spent a few days this week and last calming investor nerves. What have you been telling people? What's going on in the markets right now?
What I've been encouraging people to do, especially people that are new to investing in crypto and in Bitcoin, is just to zoom out a little bit. And there's obviously been volatility in the markets over the last few weeks. And you typically see quite a lot of activity towards the end of the calendar year, in any case, in the crypto markets. But looking back to 2021 and the performance of Bitcoin and certain other crypto assets, they've exceeded performance of most assets across any type of market, and I've just been encouraging people to really look at the longer term trends versus sort of the day to day and the week to week volatility that we're seeing right now.
Okay, now let's talk about specific coins that you're following. Well, let's talk about the biggest one, Bitcoin. Bitcoin has seen the largest decline of the start of the year out of any year since its inception. People are wondering, can this decline continue?
So I think that decline is also partly explained by the growth that the assets saw in 2021. So we obviously saw new all-time highs for Bitcoin over 65,000 US dollars and up an incredible amount since the start of 2021. So there was, I think, when you see an overexuberance in the price action on the upside for Bitcoin, when there are certain events that happen, then you're going to see more of a correction. So I think we've certainly seen that over the last couple of weeks, but I think again in the longer term trend, it's part of the growth of an asset class like this.
Well, do you think the Fed has anything to do with this market reaction that we're seeing? I mean, people are saying that with monetary policy potentially tightening in 2022, with 3, even possibly 4 rate hikes on the way, that might put a dent on risk assets like cryptocurrencies and weighing their momentum. What do you think?
I think it's definitely had an impact. The U.S. Federal Reserve's interest rate hikes or plans to hike interest rates are a key macro factor that affects the crypto markets and affects Bitcoin. And I think those types of things are really important for investors to keep in mind as they're deciding whether to get into different crypto assets like Bitcoin. There's risk and reward always associated with these assets, and those more global trends are definitely going to impact things on a short-term basis.
Every day I log on to Twitter. On the top of my feed is always a bunch of people saying, look, you've got to buy the dip or diamond hands. So I don't know which camp you're in, but do you agree with either of those philosophies?
I think for sure when there's opportunities to get in at a lower price into an asset like Bitcoin, personally, I definitely always seek those types of opportunities. I wouldn't necessarily say that's the same for every crypto asset. I think you and I have talked about some more speculative assets. Squid Coin was one we talked about last time. Probably wouldn't recommend getting into something like that. But I think for people that see the fundamental value and long-term value in an asset like Bitcoin, these types of short-term fluctuations really are a good opportunity when you're looking to hold the asset longer term.
In times of volatility like this, does it matter which crypto you own? Everything's going down. Is there a safer crypto?
I would, obviously not investment advice, but my personal view is the two assets that make the most sense and have done so for over the course of the last 5 years since I first got into the industry are Bitcoin and ETH. Bitcoin digital gold and ETH is programmable smart contracts. And you're seeing so many use cases on top of Ethereum. DeFi is really driving a lot of that value, and so I think where there is sort of fundamental value and use cases behind these assets, there's a really good case for those assets retaining more value during these fluctuations. And I think if you look at some of the more of the altcoins, like some of the more speculative coins during this last few weeks of volatility, they have they've erased a lot more value than assets like Bitcoin and ETH.
Yeah, cough and cough Shiba. So look, WonderFi CEO, we're going to be talking about DeFi. I think that's kind of the core of our conversation, is the utility of ETH and Bitcoin, because in the past, some might have bought or speculated with Bitcoin solely because it was a speculative investment. But now with your platform, now with other platforms along the way, we're starting to see that it does have utility outside of potentially either a store of value or as a trading vehicle. Is that correct to say?
For ETH or for Bitcoin?
Both. Let's start with Bitcoin.
Sure. So I think Bitcoin is still best viewed as a store of value or as digital gold, and I think a lot of smart money that's getting into crypto, from institutions to high net worth and so on and so forth, share that view. It's a scarce asset, and people really are taking that view. I think with ETH, you're seeing more and more use cases. Obviously, there's been a big explosion of interest in NFTs and metaverse and DeFi, which is where WonderFi is focused. And you're really starting to see some of the use cases that I think people who were looking at the industry or who were in the industry back in 2016 and 2017, these are use cases that we were dreaming of. It was all types of financial transactions happening on chain that was not a reality back then. We're now seeing we're seeing that happen in a really meaningful way.
Give us an example of one of these transactions that is happening now but was not possible a few years ago.
Well, I think it's always been possible, but I think it really comes down to the technology being vetted and the adoption happening. So one example would be peer-to-peer lending. You've got DeFi protocols like Compound and Aave that are facilitating peer-to-peer lending and borrowing in ways that we've never seen before.
Okay. Now, this is where your platform comes in. WonderFi is a DeFi platform. What does it do first and foremost? And then we'll talk about one of your recent deals.
So what we're doing with WonderFi is aggregating and simplifying all of this great functionality within DeFi. So that's trading on decentralized exchanges, that's lending and borrowing, that's earning yield on your assets through staking, and doing things like buying indexes that cover the whole DeFi market. The big problem with DeFi is that it is super fragmented and complicated. So for your average person to be able to understand what's going on or to be able to access it, it's just not possible. So with WonderFi, we're really trying to educate and just simplify the user interface so that people can access this really important decentralized peer-to-peer financial opportunity.
Okay, so in one sentence, sum up DeFi. What does the average person need to know about DeFi if he hasn't already invested in the space or investigated the definition of the space?
The key thing is you own and control your assets within DeFi. So in traditional finance and in some areas of crypto, you're very reliant on a centralized party to custody your assets, and really you're reliant on them to be able to transact, and there's permission that's required from that party for you to be able to carry that out. So DeFi is something that allows you to take ownership and control of your asset and transact directly with counterparties. So that's important for a number of reasons. One of the key drivers and really kind of passion areas behind DeFi is that you do have places where it's very difficult for people to get access to banking or to credit, and that's because they're reliant on whether it's a government or a bank or any type of other centralized party to be able to provide them with the approval to do that. And in this case, it's allowing people to access banking when they don't necessarily have the opportunity to do so.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't most of the world unbanked, especially if you look at developing areas and emerging economies? Most people don't have a bank. In fact, in El Salvador, I read that in El Salvador, I think it's something like 70% of the population doesn't have a bank account. And so potentially we're looking at a revolution whereby DeFi may actually be larger in scale than traditional financial banks, right?
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And even in places like New York City, there's around 15% of people that don't have a bank account. So even in the United States, you have major cities that have significant populations, but El Salvador is a great example. And you also have in some of these markets, people don't have access to a stable currency, and so it's very difficult for people to just function in a in a normal way without something like the US dollar. So DeFi then also opens up access to stable coins, which are pegged to a more stable currency, the US dollar, and allows them to transact and carry out different financial transactions with that without needing a local bank account or a US bank account, which they wouldn't have access to. So it really opens up things for people that are in some of these developing countries.
Well, some people might be wondering what the security parameters of DeFi are. One of the reasons you would go to a bank, I guess, and deposit your money is that they offer security. It's unlikely you're going to be robbed. It's unlikely you're going to get hacked. I mean, it could happen, but unlikely. Can you make the same assumptions for, let's say, a DeFi protocol or a wallet or something like MetaMask?
The more transaction volume you see going through DeFi, the more secure it's becoming. There's a lot of audits that are happening of the smart contracts that carry out these financial transactions. And it's really a matter of getting third-party audits done on the smart contracts and having the transaction volume to sort of show that the contracts are tried and tested. So it does take time for the level of sort of security and rigor to get up to the level that's ready for mass adoption, but we're well on the way.
Okay. Let's talk about your recent acquisition of First Ledger. Why the acquisition, and what is First Ledger?
So First Ledger owns BitBuy, which is the largest crypto exchange in Canada. So it's a really exciting acquisition for us. We actually believe it's the largest crypto acquisition in Canadian history. So we're both sides are really proud of that. What they've built is really impressive over the last 5 years. They have one of the largest user bases in Canada for their crypto exchange. They're the first registered crypto marketplace in Canada. They were granted their license by the Ontario Securities Commission just at the end of last year. And they've built a really impressive business around creating easy access for people to buy crypto through their platform.
Okay, so what does something like BitBuy mean for the average consumer?
It means being able to buy crypto like Bitcoin or ETH or Litecoin or any of the other coins that they offer through a regulated entity in a seamless way.
Okay, but does that mean that I can also use those cryptocurrencies as a form of payment for everyday items?
It potentially does. I mean, really, the crypto exchange model, which is also the same model that a company like Coinbase employs, really is just about being able to get people from fiat into crypto in a seamless way and in a compliant way. So that's really what BitBuy has done for. They have almost 400,000 registered users in Canada, which is a really impressive number that they've built up, and they're continuing to grow the business within Canada, and we'll be looking to grow that with them within the country, and then also looking to expand into other markets to open this up.
Okay, so let's talk about the financing terms of this deal.
Sure. So back in that 206 million Canadian. And the way that we look at these assets, WonderFi has been working on a pipeline of different M&A opportunities that are accretive to the company and our mission to democratize finance in Canada and globally. We look at them on a revenue multiple. So BitBuy, they've done over $31 million in revenue over the last 12 months. And we were able to secure this deal at a significant discount to editors who are trading at much higher multiples in the public market. So we're really excited about the deal we're able to secure, and I think both there's a lot of alignment amongst stakeholders and management of both companies to be able to grow this asset and take the company to the next level.
When are we going to start seeing M&A deals done in cryptos? That's the question.
Well, I mean, hopefully we can pull something off this year with crypto. We'll just have to make sure that it's not in Squid Coin or Shiba or something like that. We'll have to stick to Bitcoin or ETH.
Or maybe a stable coin?
Stablecoin would actually, that's a better suggestion. Maybe we'll get you on as an advisor to one of these deals, because I think that's a more natural pick.
I'd be so honored, Ben. I'd be so honored. All right, finally, consolidation in the crypto space overall. I mean, it is a relatively new space. We're seeing companies like yourself making acquisitions. I know you recently partnered with FTX as well. So tell us about these deals that are going on in the space. What are people looking for right now when it comes to consolidation, when it comes to partnerships?
The space is definitely ready for consolidation. We see a lot of opportunities coming across our radar. It's a lot of really great founders that have built successful businesses, but the market's getting more and more crowded. We look at Canada first, and there's over 30 crypto exchanges in Canada, and there's a lot of power in being able to combine great technology and great management teams to build something bigger, better together. And I think that's really the shared sentiment across some of these great companies in the space. And we have that shared view with the BitBuy team. So I think you're going to continue to see more consolidation in the space in 2022. Perhaps it'll be the most active year for consolidation in the crypto space. That would be my bet.
Okay. Bold prediction. We'll follow up on that. Ben, thank you so much for being on the show. Thank you for your outlook, and also for your insights on DeFi. Appreciate it.
Thanks for your time.
And thank you for watching Kitco News. I'm David Lin. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel.